we're now talking about a then perspective versus a now perspective.
You know, it's like, how are you looking at things? That's the biggest thing. Because if you're still in the perspective of how it was in the past, that past and that trauma and those things are still hurting you now. So you're like talking about, you know, being out on Thanksgiving, and I've always had to work in Thanksgiving, and I've always, you know, it's always been so awful. But then, that was the then. But what about the now? The now is we're free. We don't have to go and work on that Thanksgiving. We're just out and about being a blessing, and, you know, and it's about looking at the perspectives of how you're looking at things.
But it's like, because I feel guilty now for enjoying my now.
Right.
Versus the then.
Well, see, that's why you have to, all that then, you have to take that and you have to rewrite that. You've seen it, you've experienced it, you got it, you know. And then in your now, you can enjoy it because you can see it differently. You can see it in full. So now, look at the now. And like we said, you're free. You're not in that. You don't have to do all that. So what you have to do is you actually have to make an adjustment physically and mentally, with control and discipline and just willpower, just by intention alone, matter of fact. Just make that intentional adjustment. And that's what will make that difference. Okay, so now we're free and happy and everything. And so instead of having to be in all those situations and poor people and woe is me and woe is us, we're getting to help them and brighten their day. Everybody still has to travel to get to where they're going. Everybody still has to get gas and groceries and this and that and the other, you know. So yes, they have to be there, and yes, that's terrible. But then again, isn't that how we're looking at it? That's making us feel bad. That's that old perspective. So the adjustment is they got to make money. They got to do this. They have their lives. This is their opportunity. This is just their choices. And so we're all working together, and that's what makes it better. You know, we all need to strive to make things better for everybody. So yes, they're there making $0 miserable. Well, we can just come in there with our vibrations and brighten them up and lift them up and give them a little hope and courage to get through the now, so that they can have new perspectives. You know, maybe it wasn't so terrible. You know, it was in the past, but then I choose to feel how things are now. I choose to give my permission to myself to enjoy the changes and the adjustments I've made. And so if I do make those adjustments and those changes and I feel differently now, then that's what we focus on. And then the next time, that's what we focus on. And then we grow and the new perspectives change. And so we're not held hostage to all these old, terrible things that we went through. You know, we don't have to be in that retail situation anymore. So all those traumas and all that that it gave you, you don't have that anymore. So then for you to continue to have that type of perspective, and every time you bring it up, it hurts you, that's the adjustment. That's where we can tune it and do that adjustment, that fine tuning. So what, and then we have to, probably how you feel now, is get through some of that momentum. You know, you were running so hard in that one direction, just like, this is just how it is. And then you get these higher perspectives, and then you're like, you know, that's how it was, but that's not how it is now. And even if it still is now, I'm changing now, and then here's your new beginning of your new nows. And I know it sounds kind of convoluted, but there is no time, you know, and when we have good nows, that will create the good nows of the future. But if we're still hurting now from the old ways and the old past, then we're still in the nows of our past. Ooh. So what do you? So how do you
Which is
feel?
why it hurts to bring it up.
Because it's not real anymore. And the reason why it still hurts bringing it up is you're still in that perception of how it was. You haven't made that choice to turn it in to something that worked for you. You're like, it hurt me, period. There's no lesson. So then every time you have that trigger and those situations that come trying to release that trigger, you're like, this is how it was. Well, then now, in this now, you're hurting still from what was. And what was isn't anymore. So you have to give that thought and that awareness respect. So what do you think of that?
That makes sense.
So now, instead of it hurting you, you have a new perception. What can you do? Thank God that I don't have to be in those situations anymore, and let me bless those who are still in those situations, because those are me in the past. Those people are me in my past, and they're at the place where I was. So then you look and you go almost like a time traveler to them as yourself and be like, it will get better. You're just here now for these lessons, and it'll be okay. And they're like, bullshit. But then you were there, and so you're like, okay, I'm just planting the seed. Don't worry. And then you just let them be, and all is well. And then they'll be that time traveler in their new, when they learn that lesson, to someone else who is in that new position of that old way and that old lesson. How cool is that if you can understand that? So, what do you think of that?
It's very convoluted.
But
easy to understand.
Easy to understand at the same time if you're there. And so then, isn't that a big way of how we can love people anyways? How we can honor and respect the roles that they play in our lives anyways? Isn't that how we can see where people are and we're not there anymore, so we see ways of being able to help them so that they can keep going? And was that not the reason why we had to go through it in the first place? And isn't that how we can heal on everything now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's whew. So then, how are we thinking? So now we're healed. Now we have new perspectives. So now what's going to happen when that situation comes again? Are we going to have that trigger anymore?
No.
No, because we've outgrown it. We've adjusted it. So now we're like, hey, how's it going? Not, oh, I can't believe everybody's working and I gotta work and be out on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? And then all of that. Because we've changed. And so now we're like, ooh, that was the thoughts that I had. But now I don't. Now I'm just out and about having a good old time. And see, the healing. There is none of that trauma anymore. So then, what about next Thanksgiving? It's going to be even easier. You can stay home, you can be out, you can work, you can not, you can whatever, and everything is perfect because you've used all of that to your advantage. You've adjusted the hard, you've focused on the good, and now you can roll with the punches, and you're like, you have all the proper perspectives, so you're like, huh, cool, whatever. You just roll. Versus, oh, I can't believe me. Oh, that's a big difference in how you feel. And that's a big difference in a life. Do you want to feel like, oh, mother? Or do you want to be like, oh, awesome? See, that is a vibration. That is the lifestyle that we're here to show. So what else is there, sweetie? What? Anything else? You were at like a 9. Now what level are you of just hurting and frustration?
I guess I'm okay.
Huh? Well, 1 through 10. 10 was awful how you were, and And one being, I'm at peace, no big deal.
About a 2.
About a 2. Oh, so from a 9 to a 2 with what? Truth and perspective?
Yeah.
What was it? What did I say? What did we do? You were having a trigger. You were like, just why? And just hurting. And then what happened?
Perspective.
And so what did that do, though? What if you just went through?
A lesson.
Okay. And so, now that the lesson is learned, what happens if you revisit it?
It shouldn't hurt anymore.
Right. And what happens if it does?
Go back through the lesson.
And then you get greater closure, greater experience, greater depth, greater healing, until there's nothing left to learn and nothing left to be healed from, because you're fully healed. So then what?
Then we move on to the next lesson.
And then what?
And we get greater and greater.
And so then where's the problems at?
In our past triggers.
Okay. Oh, are they still there, though?
No, we're getting rid of them one by one.
There we go. See, you don't just deal with it and then it just bounces back to how it was. When you deal with something, that means feeling it, letting it go, looking for solutions, looking for new ways of looking at it, looking for ways to soothe. That's why a lot of people tap, even though this is hard, I still love and accept myself. Where is it hurting? Oh, so in your body, where are you feeling any dis-ease in your body, your physicality?
In my throat.
In your throat, because you're closed off and you aren't feeling like you have the answers and you can speak your truth because you have been pinched off. So what is it that we're doing? We're opening up that throat. I'm putting you on the hook. I'm letting you explain it to you by these examples. That's why I want you included, is so that I'm not saying it, you're saying it to you, and then your body is like a spaceship. It listens when you give orders, whether that be good or bad. And what happens if you give bad orders and bad input?
You hurt.
You hurt. What happens if you put in good orders and good input?
You hurt but then feel better.
Yeah. And so then, once you get rid of all the bad input and you only have good input, what should that do?
You feel good all the time.
Yeah, you should be able to go where you're going happily, safely,
and not hurt.
And so what else is in there? If you're a 2, what's keeping you from being 1?
That was it.
That was, okay, there we go. And so, see, this is how we work through things. Clarity, perspective. Communication, understanding, making something
love.
More out of the situation than what was there. You have that right to make things bigger and better than just what it may seem. Make that story in your mind amazing. You had that one terrible thing. Well, why can't you build a whole new story around it? And then when you come to that one thing again, you have this grandiose, amazing story, and then it's almost fun to tell. And then when it becomes fun to tell, and you have the goods and the bads, and you have it all wrapped up in this one big, awesome story, then you get to tell people about it. And then they can have that resonance and have those stories, and then that ability to understand and that awareness and consciousness that they can do these things. And so we're just going around just turning people on, just turning switches on and giving people understanding of what they're able to do, and we're turning off all the switches of the stuff that they're not wanting to do so that they can be in a place where they're not hurting, so that they can do the things they want properly. Turn all those switches on. That's what we're doing. Turning on the good switches, and we're turning off the bad switches. So, We just wanted to have just a real life seshity sesh. You know, just a nitty gritty. We ain't hurting anymore. We're not gonna take it. No, we're not gonna take it. Sorry. So, you know, what else is there, love? Anything?
That's pretty much it.
So now how do you feel?
A whole heck of a lot better.
And so then we have healing. We have real life clarity. Real life miracles every day, from hurting and being in hell to now being in bliss and being in heaven. It's real. It just takes some techniques and some love and some understanding and some experiences. And so then that's how we work together. Now she's happy, she's glowing and loving and happy and happy and happy and healthy and no disease. And so that's one less of the bad momentum. And now we have one more on the good momentum of the collective consciousness and the human race. One more healthy, happy person gets us to where we're going better and faster. So thank you. Much love. And this is healing. This is what it's all about.